All right, good morning. And today we are going to be talking about conditional statements, okay, starting our second chapter or second module. Now, as we do this, if you are taking notes on your computer, remember you can go to It's Learning, you can go to Resources, Chapter 2, download it, then go into Cami, and you can open it from your computer and take notes on here. Today in class, we started off by discussing this kind of situation here at the top. So it says, Clara meets with friends at a public park. They notice another group being issued a $300 fine and check the posted rules and regulations. Okay. So over here on the right, the rules here, it says the hours are sunrise to sunset. The prohibited activities, fireworks, that's a $300 fine. Littering, $100 fine. Smoking is a $100 fine. And fishing is a $100 fine. Now, it says the group was issued a $300 fine. So think for a minute what that could mean. Okay. In class, we talked, some people thought maybe that meant they were shooting off fireworks. That is possible. We don't know that for sure, though. And if you're wondering why we don't know that for sure, notice they could have also just been littering, smoking, and fishing all at the same time. The trifecta got $300 fines, so we don't quite know what's going on. Now, a conditional statement, as we're going to talk about today, is an if-then statement. So let's try to turn these into if-then statements. So for example, if you are shooting off fireworks, then you get a $300 fine. If you are littering, then you get a $100 fine. If you are smoking, then you get a $100 fine. And if you are fishing, then you get a $100 fine. Now, we're also going to kind of reverse those or take the converse where the front and the back switch. So let's see if those statements are true. So what I mean by that is if you get a $100 fine, then you are fishing. Would that be true? Hopefully you're saying no, because you could have also been smoking or littering. If you get a $300 fine, then you are shooting off fireworks? Maybe, but you also could have been doing the other three violations, okay? So just kind of something for us to think about to get us talking. So in a conditional statement, there's going to be a hypothesis that's represented by a P that comes at the beginning, okay? And you've heard that word in science class. This isn't quite the same, but it is kind of like our guess or the initial statement. And the Q is our conclusion, just like in English class, this comes at the end. Okay, and with a conditional statement, it's going to be an if-then statement. So if P, then Q. And some of you might be thinking, I don't get what this means. Give me a minute and we'll hopefully start to understand. We're going to just get our symbols here. Let me do a better job. That's supposed to be an arrow in the middle. So this is another way to write this. P implies Q. Okay, now our converse, as we said, this is when we flip them. So the hypothesis conclusion switch places. The if and then stay where they are. So be if Q, then P. And it looks like I forgot to clear this from class. So give me 1 second. Oops. All right. So if Q, then P. And so an example of that, if Q then P, if we're doing Q implies P, that's how we write it symbolically. Okay, now your inverse. This goes back to the original conditional statement, but we do something called negate, which is take the opposite. So the opposite of P would be not P. So if not P, then not Q. The symbol for this, that's called negate. So not P implies not Q. Finally, contrapositive. So if not Q, then not P. So negate Q implies negate P. And our biconditional statement, we'll actually talk about that tomorrow. Today we're not going to get to that. So if we look here, back when we said there's a hypothesis and a conclusion, the hypothesis comes first, conclusion second. So right here it says underline the hypothesis, circle the conclusion. So our hypothesis will be from this part, 90-degree angle. Our conclusion will come from this, a right angle. Okay. So write a conditional statement. The first thing we need to do is turn this into an if-then statement. Now we want to use proper grammar, right? I know it's not English class, it might seem like it today. We need to put this in a way, we can't just say if a 90-degree angle, then is a right angle. That doesn't make sense. Okay, so we need to say something like if an angle is a 90-degree angle, and maybe to speed this up, actually, let me switch. I'm going to type. I think that'll be a little easier for me to keep some speed. So let's see. So if an angle is a 90-degree angle, then it is a right angle. And let's think, is that a true statement? And hopefully you were saying yes. We know our definition of 90-degree angle, or right angle, is that it's 90 degrees, so yes, that will be true. Okay, now the converse. This is when we switch the front and the back. Now the if stays where it is, so if an angle, we can leave that. And if an angle is a right angle, then it is a 90-degree angle. And this will also be a true statement. Okay. All right. Now we need to write the inverse. If you forgot, inverse is when we negate. So we go back to the original and we do the opposite. So this original, if an angle is a 90-degree angle, so the opposite of that will be if an angle is not a 90-degree angle, then it is not a right angle. And this will also be true. So sometimes they are all true, sometimes they're all false, sometimes it's a mix. Keep in mind we said our conditional statements at the beginning, like if you shoot off fireworks, then you get a $300 fine. That'd be true. But if you get a $300 fine, then you shoot off fireworks, we don't know that. That might not be true, so that is false. Okay, the final one, the contrapositive. So when we take the converse and we negate it. Okay, so to finish it out, if an angle is not a right angle, then it is not a 90-degree angle. And this one also will be true. All right, so the final thing, that's all for the notes for today. Now I want you to go to Delta Math, and today I think I asked you to do 10 of these. Now they are all multiple choice, but here it says, select the statement that is the contrapositive of the following statement. So here's our statement. If two figures are congruent, then all corresponding sides have the same measure. Now contrapositive, if we go back, remember contrapositive, so you want to have this handy. If not Q, then not P. So we need to switch the order of them and negate them. Now, that means it's going to be if, but instead of two figures are congruent, the corresponding sides have the same measure. We'll have to come to the front. So, and here it's going to be they don't have the same measure. So if the corresponding sides of two figures don't have the same measure, then they aren't congruent. So we flipped it and we negated them. We hit submit and you see we got it. If you want to check, it will show you all the possible examples. Now, the one thing I will say is if you miss it, right here and right here, it will show what you put. So you'll think you got it right. You got to look at the table. Also, one other thing to notice, their table is in a different order. They put the original or conditional statement, then the inverse where we had the converse next. So just make sure you're aware of that when you're checking your answers. So let's get 10 of those. Then there's a little bit of review on segment addition and angle addition. If you need any help, please let me know. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.